money is so easy to find, it's unbelievably easy to find. A good deal is damn near impossible. Finding a legitimate investment that meets the standards of success is almost impossible. Money is super easy to find. So I've been really good at finding money. The product side is where I have been deficient the last 20 years, and I finally found the right mix in the product. And so,
and that deficiency was related to drilling.
It was everything.
And so, wearing my financial advisor hat from back in the day, I would say, well, you need X number of wells. You got to try X number of times so that the math works out. What you said earlier was I raised this capital, but the number of dry holes and the number of holes that were drilled that then had mechanical issues, the failure rate sounded extraordinary. So you were great at raising the capital, but the problem was delivering the investment returns consistent with the expectations because of the way the industry was sort of structured that kept you out.
It's because the industry itself was predicated on a food chain where everybody in that cycle made so much money before the investor got there.
Yeah.
They didn't have to have the well be successful for them to make money. So the landman would go buy a lease for $100, sell it to the oil company for $500. He's made money 5x and he's out of the picture.
Doesn't matter whether the
oil company sells it for $1,000 for $5,000 to the investor. He's made 5 to 1 before the investor gets in. He's carved off a 5 point over. He owns 5% of the well, good or bad. He doesn't care. He's already made 5x. The geologist goes out and does his thing. He says, I'm going to drill a well right here. This is all the reserves. And the oil company says, well, that's not enough to drill. He goes back and maps it out 3 times as big and gets $100,000 prospect fee and an override. He doesn't care. And then you go to 3D seismic, which was a big deal in the 1990s. And now you have 4 or 5 geologists that I wouldn't use to go find oil in a Jiffy Lube. My comment is always that, right? And next thing you know, there's 4 oil companies at an exploration table. The guy wouldn't trust it. Now, exploration manager for company A, exploration manager for company B, and they're recommending wells. I go, you guys are idiots. Why would I drill where you want to drill? Why? Well, they're on a computer with 3D seismic. They're embellishing what should be a well that's uneconomical. They're making it look bigger, and they're saying out of 5 of us, 4 of us want to go drill. I go, have at it, go drill. So the layering of misrepresentation, the layering of self-gratification was so deep that you couldn't get past it. And you couldn't get into the Exxons and the Shell deals because, they were out buying, $10 million 3D seismic programs doing $4 million wells. And you're like, man, they're like dinosaurs. They're going to run me over. So what you had to do is what I did is I hired my own geophysicists, hired my own geologists, I hired my own guys. I'd pick them out of Exxon or Conoco. But, one of the things I learned about that is the geophysicists out of Conoco, we've been staring at a computer screen for 20 years. And you say, okay, well, I'm glad you told me where the oil is trapped. Can you tell me how the oil got there from a geological perspective? Oh, no, I just know geophysics. I don't know geology. You've been with Conoco for 30 years and you don't know how to find out the geology and you don't know how to read a well log? No, I don't. I'm like, oh my God. It was so isolated that you had such specific training, you didn't have the aggregation. So I spent hundreds of hours driving to the rigs, sitting on rigs, listening to the drilling foreman and the guys on the rig, how it works, why it works. I'm very visual. I go spend hundreds of hours sitting there in 3D seismic rooms with geologists and geophysicists saying, okay, tell me how it works, why. And I was always the guy saying, I'm not going to fix the car when it doesn't work, but I want to understand the parts of the car and I want to know who is the guy that's going to fix the car. So I became the aggregator of information on the industry side. The capital side was easy. I just had to find people who truly wanted to make clients money and they weren't a bunch of liars, cheats, and cokeheads. I mean, if I look the last 30 years, most of the people I knew that were liars, crooks, and thieves are either in jail, dead, or committed suicide. They jumped off buildings. They all end up in the same bracket. Dead, overdose, addicts, jail. That's about it. I can probably name 4 people that are still in business after 35 years, and I still think they're crooks. If you look, they just stay one shady hair left of the line of being legal and not criminals, right?